Hello and welcome to our presentation today. It's building blocks for automated IDoc monitoring and management. Thanks everybody for making time for the webcast today. I'm going to go ahead and dive right in. My name is Bernd Baier. I'm a senior solution architect with Libelle based here in Atlanta, and I'm joined by our senior technical consultant, Puneet Khatri, who is also the subject matter expert in our team around IDoc monitoring. So I'm looking forward working with you through the presentation. Some of the highlights we're going to touch on today is, of course, IDoc monitoring and the building blocks we suggest for monitoring. So one of the highlights is how we can consolidate information that are spread across different transaction codes within SAP, for example, BD87, but all the other transaction codes where you manage IDocs, how we can consolidate this into a single interface. We're going to look at filtering by message type, filtering by SAP system, filtering by status, filtering by error messages, and so on, and even filtering by specific message fields that you can select IDocs that are, for example, specific to a distribution center. We're going to look into the drill down options of message types or statuses. We're going to look into how to set up email notifications for specific issues and touching on mass updating and mass changing IDocs. Part of the presentation is going to be a live demonstration. So Puneet prepared a couple of use cases for the EDIMON tool we're going to present and shows you all of that in an SAP interface. Let's start with a quick introduction. Libelle is a software company headquartered in Stuttgart, Germany. Both Puneet and I are based in our Atlanta office, and we have been on the market for more than almost 25 years now, with more than 1,500 installations and more than 400 customers, and 80% of our business is carried by customers using the SAP software. Our solution portfolio, we have this focus on automating, accelerating, and optimizing the workflows in companies, and that spreads around data replication, where we provide automated backup and recovery for replication. We have a solution for automating system refreshes. This is a classic workflow automation solution. And then for today, we want to provide an option for automating and accelerating IDoc monitoring. It's all about software helping you to do things automatically that you usually do manually, like collecting information, presenting information, consolidating data, instead of you having to do that manually. So let's look at the specific solution. So overall, SAP has a lot of new topics. They talk about IoT, they talk about Leonardo, they talk about HANA, of course, S4 HANA and all the new things. But IDocs within SAP are one of the most fundamental building blocks and components within SAP to make the actual business work. It's not one of the topics that it gets hyped up or where people, and specifically management, is looking after. It's the fundamental building blocks of how goods and invoices and orders move through the company. As such, it is extremely critical for IDocs to work properly. The challenges we have in IDoc monitoring is that transactions always have been and still are. Information are spread across multiple transactions within the SAP system, so there's no central place to monitor. There is no central organization to monitor it. It's typically sits somewhere in the SAP basis. They manage some of the IDocs and send it back to the sales and distribution center or to the SAP users that produce faulty IDocs or have IDoc issues, but it's really spread across the organization. It's typically difficult to identify and fix if you have issues. So SAP is known for being very complex, but at the same time, SAP is very organized, so the information is there. It is there in a proper way, but you need to drill down to find it and might have to go an extra route if it's a specific error in order to find and fix issues. So overall, as you see at the bottom, it's not very structured. It is not ongoing. It's always ad hoc. An issue comes in, somebody has to fix it. There's no really structure, intervals behind it. It's slow and labor intensive, and it's very repetitive, specifically if you have issues that keep recurring or issues that are underlying just based on the way you do business. It's just in a way annoying to keep fixing the same issues over and over with a lot of time and effort. So what Libelle developed and came out with about 3 years ago is a solution called Libelle EDIMON. It's an add-on to SAP. So it's an ABAP-based solution. It's this one interface where you can centrally monitor the IDocs. And when I say you, meaning your organization, so at the end, each user in your organization who should manage or auto-manage IDocs can have their own EDIMON interface where they can manage their IDocs, but it's the central interface and the central place of control for managing IDocs. So overall, our goal is to consolidate transactions. What you see on the screen are the main transactions we centralize, but there are also transactions you would jump from and to. If you have to do updates in MM or SD, you would jump from EDIMON to your specific sales transaction and then jump back into the EDIMON. So what we monitor and collect information from are the 3 EDIMON tables, which you see at the bottom right corner. SAP keeps all IDoc information in these 3 tables, spreads the management across the different transactions. So what we try to do is provide this one transactions where we see all of the information centrally. So that means you don't really have to replace a transaction like BD87, but you could eventually even consider restricting access to BD87 and let users only see IDocs in their own sphere of influence or sphere of responsibility instead of giving them access to all. EDIMON can collect information from all aspects of an IDoc. So we read the control records, we read the segment information, we can read the messages, the error messages, the message variables. We can read the partner system number, where the IDoc is coming from. We can select even information like a basis type. So this is the first step in saying, let us regularly collect all the IDoc information we need. We store this in our own namespace in SAP that is neatly organized, and that we have one set of data where we occasionally, or let's say specifically every hour or every 15 minutes or every 2 hours, collect the information we want to look at. After collection, we're going to consolidate it, we're refining it, we give you the option to filter it, present it to you, and then of course manage. If you want to update a segment field which is incorrect, you can do that with EDIMON. Overall, one of the concepts we propose is this rule and reaction engine. And the reason I put this slide together is not specifically the rules and the reactions. It's how you use EDIMON. It's also leading to a question of make or buy, because what we do is collect information out of the SAP system and then present them into a single interface, into a single SAP screen. Now you could go ahead and simply say, let me just write an ABAP program that collects the information, write a job, and then just somehow present it. One of the things where we have a big advantage is we provide the ABAP program, and then we keep information in our own namespace. So when you make changes to your rules, when you make changes to the reaction, you don't have to change the underlying ABAP code. You change the configuration as part of the Libelle program, but you don't have to keep touching the ABAP code and keep doing new transports into your production system. So it's one transport, and then you change the rules and the reactions as you see fit. Back to the rules and reaction itself. So the very core is an IDoc collecting program where we collect all the IDoc information we saw on the previous screen. And then we have an engine that is applying rules to the information we collected. And then a second engine that is triggering reactions, such as sending emails, sending SAP mail, triggering function modules, or what I'm going to present later is adding information to user worklist or starting anything on the operating system. And then the user config is what kind of rules we set up, what kind of reactions, if we want to send 1 emails or 5 emails or emails to this person or emails to that person. That's simply part of the configuration. The collecting program can run once for all. So you say, let me do this collecting program and select all the IDocs every hours, or you can run this for different message types at different times. So you could say, let me run one job every 15 minutes and only get some very specific information which are highly critical for the business. And let me run another job maybe every 2 hours that collects second tier IDocs that are halfway critical. And maybe even once a day you run one job which collects all the IDocs that have been sitting in the system for over a week and see if you can clean those up. And when I say collect IDocs, yes, we collect all green, yellow, red, but what we of course want to focus on is the IDocs that have issues in order to monitor and manage them. So this last job every week or once a day where we collect all the old IDocs that are still sitting in an error state and sitting there for way too long. After the IDocs are collected, we are setting up these reactions. So here's an example of how this rule and reaction would look like. So we are collecting the IDocs every hour, and there are 2 examples, MATMAS every hour, DEPMAS every 15 minutes. The second step is we are setting up a rule. It's fairly simple. You can set up a rule in a couple of minutes to say if this IDoc comes from a specific system with a specific message type, with a specific status, direction inbound or outbound, message number type, certain variables in the message, and then interestingly, with a specific segment or control record, send a specific information. And you can be as broad and as narrow as you see fit. So you could say all statuses 69 need to go to one email, all specific information from a specific plant should go to somebody else. This is really how you want to set up your rules. And I like to compare the rules to how you set up your email rules in Outlook. So you have filters in Outlook that say if I get a message from this sender, put it into this folder or send an auto reply. Of course, this EDIMON is much more sophisticated because you have all these different dimensions you can put in as a parameter. And then as you see in the yellow box, what you usually do and set up the rules is you look at your IDocs that failed and we pre-populate the conditions for you. And then you say, if this failure comes up again, I already have this rule defined. So you don't really have to work very hard to set up the rules. We prepare that for you. Hey, is this something you want to set up a rule for? This is an example of an email. You can send this as an SAP mail, or you can send it to an external email program. So if we have multiple IDoc issues of the same type, we consolidate and say you have 10 IDoc issues from this system in the message type orders. There is a standard message block which says it's an automated message from EDIMON, the system type, the message type, the status, the message class, and then it lists which of the EDIMON rule raised the reaction, when it raised it, and at what time. This is also standard text that you see the error messages in your email. And then you can customize the body of the email to say, and now pulled in specific information from the segment field or from the control record into the email, that we might even know the customer number or order number that caused the faulty IDocs, that I know specifically where to look, or I can make a determination in the email. Is this something important I have to fix immediately, or is this something I can maybe fix tomorrow? We do the same in SAP mails. So some people prefer external emails. Some people prefer to stay inside SAP. It simply depends on your user. I think there's an advantage of keeping users inside SAP, and then we can also link the relevant action directly into the email, that they stay within SAP, and we can even pre-populate some fields as they fix the IDocs and say, here, click here in order to fix it because you use the country code that doesn't exist. So in the monitor, in the EDIMON interface, there are two kinds of users. There is the IDoc administrator and there's the IDoc end user. Some people, this is just one person, but some other people, they have 20 users who are creating orders and they need to fix their own orders if they fail. So the drill down is typically for the administrator, or for, let's say, a distribution center manager, that he can say, what are the IDocs that failed for my specific distribution center? So the drill down starts with some statistic about the SAP system. So you have, in this case, we set up two SAP systems that are monitored by EDIMON. It says there are 11,000 IDocs in status red, 14 yellow, 106 in green, total IDocs, total reactions, and runs is how often we ran the check program on this specific system, and the last time we checked the system, the last time the run program actually collected the IDoc information. You simply double click on the information, and Puneet's going to show you that more lively than my screenshot, but you drill down into the specific message type. And then from here, you drill down from the message type to the status, and then it keeps drilling down until it, of course, gives you the specific IDocs from this system, from this message type with the status, and then it lists the IDocs and say, here are 50 IDocs that failed based on this status in this message type. It's really neat. Now, the other view we included here is one screenshot that is actually missing, but we can group IDocs of the same error type. So instead of showing, let's say, a total of 500 failed IDocs and 400 of them are of the same type, we would show those 400, we can show them in one line and say there are 400 IDocs with the same message, with the same error, based on the same issue, and consolidate that. We have a very powerful IDoc find feature where you specifically provide system ID, IDoc status, and say, find me specific IDocs with a certain state. And we use the term object ID, and this is something you define based on a message type to say, in MATMAS, this is segment field A or segment field B. In DebMAS, this is a different segment field. So the object ID is referring to specific segment fields you would like to pull out, which you can configure in the base configuration of EDIMON, that you have some standard segment field you would like to attach to EDIMON, which we look, and we currently have up to 3 per message type, and we kind of never had issues that customers would need more. So it's 3 segment fields per message type you can define. So if you search DebMAS versus MATMAS, it would be a different segment field as you define it. And we're actually working on an update to the software that instead of seeing a generic object ID, you would actually see the specific name of the segment field in the GUI to make this more easier to see for the end user. EDIMON provides you a lot of management options. So one of the options is to reproduce IDocs within EDIMON. You can do it as a foreground or as a background job. So in EDIMON, it failed, and specific IDocs, you can simply say, just reprocess it, and it would jump you directly to the issue that caused the IDoc to fail. Mass update IDocs is a really neat feature. So once you selected and filtered IDocs, you can say, go ahead and do a mass change on specific segment and fields, specifically if you have the same issue for, let's say, 50 or 80 IDocs. This comes in handy. And then we have the mass archive, status 68, and mass delete feature, which is really helpful in mass managing IDocs. Two more concepts for the end user. One is called the user worklist. The other one is called EDIMON forms. What the user worklist is doing, it filters IDocs, it collects IDocs, and it assigns it to specific users. So users can log into EDIMON and they see a list of 20, 30, or 40 IDocs that they need to fix because they failed. So each user would see a list of IDocs he needs to work on. And this is how an IDoc worklist looks like. So he logs in, it's a responsible user, can also be a group, and then they have all these IDocs they need to fix because there were some issues in those IDocs. So once they go into the fixing mode, just call it like that, they see the old value and we can provide them specific fields to say, this is the value that failed, and you need to provide a value that is correct because otherwise this IDoc is not going anywhere. So user worklist is one option. And then we expanded this idea of user worklists into what we call EDIMON forms. To say, if you go into BD87, you have probably up to 500 or 800 potential fields, which is way too much to monitor, and you only are really interested in 15 or 20 fields. So we came up with this concept of EDIMON forms, which gives you a unique customizable view on IDocs to say, I want to have a view on MATMAS, on orders. This is the orders form. And then you just pull in information as you see fit, configure it once. And then once you click on the IDoc, you say, let me edit this in a form. And it's not only view, it's also editing, that you see the specific information, the form body, and then can update information directly in the EDIMON form and then reprocess it out of EDIMON. The rules and reactions, I managed that before. We set up the conditions, what you see on the top left corner. I don't know, it's probably a bit small on the screen. But you see the condition, should we do any notifications, should we execute anything, and then you can select I want to do a program, function module, an SAP event, or an SAP job. So these are a couple of snippets for you to get an idea what EDIMON is doing, how it works, how the collecting program works. And I'm going to pass the presenter role to Puneet and let Puneet show you the actual SAP interface and how that looks in an SAP system. With that, Puneet, it is all yours. So Puneet, when you're there, I can't hear you yet.
Yes, Bernd, thank you so much.
Good.
All right, let me share my screen. Right. Okay. Hello everyone. My name is Puneet Khatri, and I'm Senior Technical Consultant at Libelle. I'm going to present you a live demo of EDIMON software, which is IDoc monitoring tool provided from Libelle. So on my screen, I have EDIMON cockpit open. This cockpit can be accessed by a simple transactions slash EDIMON slash LaBella slash EDIMON. And this transaction get activated once the tool is installed inside the SAP system. This cockpit serve as a purpose of central monitoring location where I can monitor the external systems as well in the organization, provided the software must be installed on the external system as well. So in my cockpit right now, you can see that I have two different systems as an EDIMON overview, where TA1 is an external system and TA2 is a local system. And I'm getting a data from the external system through RFC connection and present it here in this central location. So as I said, this cockpit can be a central location to monitor all the IDocs in the organization where software is installed on different SAP systems. Now, this cockpit view, I can change the cockpit view to display as a tree, or I can go back to the old view and display as a list where I can see all the systems and all the IDoc types which I am currently monitoring in this EDIMON 2. And this will give me a complete overview of all the IDocs, which is in red, yellow, or green. Also, it will give me a overview when it was last checked. So let me go back to the EDIMON cockpit. In this cockpit, on the top, I have some filter option where I can narrow down the search result and select the specific time period of result data of any specific system. So I can put system ID, message type, which I want to see. Also, the duration of last check or any specific duration for that result if I want to see, and the IDoc status as well, and when it was created. So this will give me additional filter mechanism. Also, I have a shortcut area where I can link certain transaction which I use um, during day-to-day basis to troubleshoot the IDocs. These are all standard SAP transactions, and this view can be customized based on different user requirement. So from this location, I can directly go to the transaction BD87, troubleshoot the IDocs, and come back to the same EDIMON cockpit again. So this is going to reduce my effort to navigate to different screen and create a new screen and come back to the cockpit again just by putting those shortcuts of the transactions. Um, Also on the top, I have few different tabs, so I can refresh the results. I already showed you display as a tree, as a list. If I want to search any specific item, I can use the search function to display a specific IDoc, and then displaying the rule confirmation and work list. I'm going to speak about it later in this demo. Um, so the data which we are presenting here, the IDoc monitoring data, we are collecting as a background job. That background job we can schedule from this cockpit itself, which is called a check program. Once I select the check program, I have to fill certain values here, whether I want to run this check program in the external system using RFC connection or the local system, which is TA2 in this case. I have to provide the message type and the status which I want to monitor. The message type will be each each check program will be specific to message type, but the number of statuses which we want to monitor can be multiple. So I can provide single values, or I can give a complete range of the status which I want to monitor for or collect the data for that particular IDoc. So once I fill the detail, I can now define the review period in number of days or number of hours or minutes based on the requirement and based on the priority of that IDoc type. So once I fill all this information, I can run this check program in the foreground, as well as I can define that check program as a background job. Now, once I run it in the foreground, I will collect the data dynamically. But when I schedule this job as a job in the background, I can define the periodicity of that job based on the priority of the message type. So you can run this background job every day, once in a day, once in an hour, or every 5 minutes based on the priority, and that background job is going to collect the data and present the result in the cockpit area. All the data which we are collecting, the IDoc related data which we are collecting, we are reading SAP table EDIDC, which keeps information about the IDoc, and then we transfer those information in the Libelle namespace table, and from there we are presenting the data here. So we manage all the result history as well in the Libelle tables. Now, on the right corner side, you can see the number of background jobs which is running daily, and have a little bit of information about those background jobs for which message type, IDoc type, the jobs are running, and on which systems it's running. So it's also give us a little bit of overview of all the background jobs which is currently scheduled and collecting the data periodically. I can so from this screen, I can further drill down into the system, which is TA2 local system, and here I can see the view based on the message type. I have altogether 24 different IDoc types, which is currently I'm monitoring, and for each message type, I have a background job defined, which is collecting the data periodically. From here, I can go further drill down. For example, I selected the IDoc type as orders. Now here, for all the message type orders, we have different status which we are monitoring. So all the different statuses are mentioned here. And then if I want to go further drill down and want to see the IDocs, I can select any specific status and double click on that. And now I see the overview of the IDocs, which is failed with the status of 51. And here in this screen, I see some information about the IDocs, why it is failed, what is the message type, what is the direction of IDoc, and also some data from the control record, when it was created, which user, etc. So some brief overview about the IDoc, which will give you an idea why that IDoc was failed, and from here you can also troubleshoot and fix the IDoc. So here you will observe that we have two different status. One is EDIMON status and one is SAP status. SAP status is the current status in the SAP table for the IDoc, and EDIMON status is the status when the background job collected this IDoc. So for example, if we if you make any change on specific IDoc, if you archive it, the status SAP status will change immediately to 68, but EDIMON status will remain 51 until unless that background job collects the data and refresh the data again. From this screen, I have option to refresh the result. I have option to display the IDoc to do more further analysis on that IDoc. So I can select the IDoc and click on display IDoc and have different options here. One is the standard SAP transaction. I can select the display option as BD87, click OK, and it will take me to that transaction with pre-filling the detail of that IDoc and give me an overview of that IDoc in BD87, which is SAP standard way of analyzing the IDoc. Another way is um, to display is in Excel sheet, and third view is display is in form. As Bernd mentioned earlier, that in EDIMON we have a functionality available where we can develop our own view to see the IDoc, which is and in that view you can define the segment and field information which is important to you only. So if there is an IDoc which has 100 or 200 different segments, and we are only interested to view 4 or 5 different segments, so we can develop a form and define a view according to our requirement, and then here in the drop down list we can select the form. We can the form which we are creating, which it will be specific to the message type, and we can create any number of forms and define the different views in those forms based on the requirement. And in drop down I will see all the forms available for that message type. For example, if I would like to see this IDoc in the form which I developed, and that will have a specific view where we have defined a specific segment and values. So there is 3 different uh, view or the segments. One is the header, second one is the body and the footer, and I can decide what information I would like to view in these three different areas. In a header, I am collecting the information from EDIDC table, which is a control record for the IDoc, and from there I'm getting the IDoc number, the receiving partner number, the direction. Also, I'm getting the information about the partner for that IDoc, from where the IDoc is coming. In the body, I define the different segment and values, which is important for me to view, to troubleshoot, and identify certain information for this particular IDoc. And in footer also, I define certain generic information. And in the form itself, I can define whether I want to edit the information right here in the form or not. For example, here in the partner information, I make it as an editable so that I make a change in the partner number and save it right here. So with that, I can view the IDoc specific to which I would like to see, and as well as I can edit the IDoc and save the information in this scheme itself. The other option is overview of IDoc, which is again an SAP standard transaction, which is WE19. It is going to pre-fill that information in WE19, and then I can also overview the IDoc information in WE19 transaction. So that is four different ways we have to display the IDoc. Another option, I have to see the status of IDoc, which is going to show me the complete journey of this IDoc, when it was created, what was the description at that point of time when it was created, and what happened during the course of the complete journey of that particular IDoc. I can also process the IDoc right here from this screen, from the error, from foreground or background. So that is again a functionality inside EDIMON where we don't have to navigate to different SAP transaction. We can directly process the IDoc from the EDIMON tool itself. We also in day-to-day life, we see that the IDocs which are failing due to the same reason, and we will have a lot of IDocs which is reoccurring, and the error is same always. For that, we have functionality, or we have option here where we can select all the IDocs which is failed because of the same reason, and then do the mask change. Where we can define the segment and field information and edit and put a new value in there. We can also do the search and replace, uh, where we can change the value only if the old value is something XYZ. So this is we can only do when we are having the IDoc which is failing because of the same reason. Similarly, um, Similarly, we can archive the IDoc, all the IDocs which we can select, we can archive and set it to IDoc 68. We can delete the IDoc as well. And now we have latest functionality where we can copy the IDoc as well in case we are working in the test system and we want to duplicate the IDoc. We can select the IDoc and we can copy IDoc and create a new IDoc itself just for a testing purpose. So this is the first part where we collect the IDoc, present a result in the list view, different status we are collecting, and then we can display the IDoc and process the IDoc right here from the EDIMON cockpit. Now, the next part of this tool is to create an automated reaction where we can define the rule and create a notification. And for that, we can just select the IDoc and click on create rule. Once we click create rule by selecting the IDoc, it is going to pre-fill some information by default. Now here in this condition where we can define certain conditions which will match based on the IDoc for which we want to create a rule. For example, here I have system ID predefined message type for which I want to create a rule, select the status and direction, and also I have a condition that whenever this IDoc failed because of this error, then the condition will match and it will create a notification. So we can go as generic as possible. We can delete this information and just create a generic rule for the IDoc type orders and status 51. So all the IDocs which is type as orders, and if the status is 51, then condition is matched and it will trigger a notification. Or we can go as complex as we can, where we can define the message text. We can also define a condition inside the IDoc segment value as well. So there is a possibility, or we have a lot of time that the rules which we want to create based on the plant number, and that plant number is mentioned inside the IDoc somewhere in the segment and field. So we can put that segment and field where the plant number is defined, and then set a value, and here we can set a range of value as well. So whenever the plant number 101 is matched, then the condition will match and then it will trigger the notification. Also, we can define a condition from the control record as well, because sometimes control record holds some specific information inside the IDoc. So as I said, we can go as complex as we want, or we can define the rule which will be generic based on the message type. So once the condition is matched, we can trigger a notification, and then we have different notification mechanism. One is standard email, where you will get an email notification on your Outlook. And the next is SAP email, where we have to define SAP user ID. That user will get an SAP email whenever the user log in into the system. And that notification, and you also have a SAP inbox available inside the SAP, where you will have all the emails alerts generated through this rule inside SAP as well. And the third one is Cmail, which is a confirmation mail. It's a ticketing tool inside the EDIMON, where automated tickets gets created, and you can define and set the status of that ticket, that who is working on it, and what is the current status. I'm going to show you that area later. Once you define the notification, it can be as one notification, or we can activate all three notification in one rule. So we can define one or multiple notification right here in this one rule itself. Um, Also, with that standard email, where we will get some basic information about the IDoc, where we get the IDoc number, the message type, some information about IDoc, that why it is failed, what is the error text, etc. We can also define the text information as well in this notification area, where you can define that what it could be the error, how you fix it, and those things you can mention here in the text information. Here also we can get certain information from inside the IDoc as well as a mail. If we want to get certain value from certain segment and field, we can define that segment and field information here, and that will that during the notification we will collect that value inside the IDoc, and as a mail body we will provide that value in the notification as well. Let me show you the rule which is already been created. So let me go back. So I select here, display rules. I'm going to display the rules which is created for the system ID and message type, and all the rules which is created for that is going to be displayed. So for example, if I want to view this rule, select the rule and click on display. This rule is already active. So if I go to notification here, we see that this is how we can define the text, and this will be part of the mail body of the notification. The third option in the rule is that we can create, or we can trigger the background job, we can trigger the program and function module to automatically fix the IDoc. So in case the scenario where you already have a program or the function module defined to fix specific IDocs, which is recursive in the organization and failing because of the same reason, always every day you have hundreds of IDoc which is failing due to same reason, and for that you already have a function module which can fix it. So we can define that function module or program information here in this section, and once the condition is matched, this rule will automatically trigger that reaction. It will automatically trigger that report to fix the IDoc as well. The fourth option here is a work list. As Bernd mentioned, that we have a dedicated space where you can assign the IDoc to the specific user, and in that we can also we can do it manually as well as we can do it automatically per rule. So whenever the condition match, that IDoc will be automatically assigned to the user which is defined in this work list area, and this user can go to the to his dedicated space of work list and will see all the IDocs which is assigned to this user, and then user can work on those IDocs right there from the work list area and edit the IDoc from there itself. I'm going to show you that later in this demo. Also, once we define the user, we can define the segment and the field information which you want to edit it as part of fixing the IDoc. So all those segment and field we can define here, and that will be part of the work list where user can edit those segment and field directly from the work list area. And there is no limitation on this. You can define as many as segment and field information just for viewing or for editing purpose, and it is going to help a lot with the edit and saving the IDocs. These rules we have different options here. We can create rule, we can change the rule, we can also do the duplication of rule and displaying the rule also. So the number of rules, there is also no limitation. You can create as many of rules you can define on any specific message type, and that can be editable based on the requirement anytime. So let me go back and show you the work list area where user can directly go and edit the IDoc which is assigned to that particular user. So I am right now back into the EDIMON cockpit, and here I have this work list area where I can define the responsible user for which I want to um, see the IDoc assigned. I put the responsible person ID here and do the work list detail. And let me go back and select the correct user. All right. So for this user, which is emblem, all the IDocs are assigned to that in the work list. And here we have list of all the IDocs. And these IDocs are either they are assigned manually or they are assigned automatically through a rule. Now the user can go to this area and look for all the IDocs which is assigned and edit them here. So I can just double click on that IDoc, and here I will have the list of segment which I defined in the rule which I would like to edit to fix the IDoc, and here I can define the new value um, to fix that particular IDoc. I have some basic information here in the top, like what is the system ID, what is the message type, some message text about this IDoc, and here is the comment in case I want to put some comment before fixing it, that what I did, and the save it. Once I select and edit the new value in this screen itself, I can edit and process the IDoc right here from the work list. So we don't have to navigate to different screen, rather that user can work on those IDoc which is assigned to that person, that user only, and fix the IDoc right here from this screen. And once the IDoc is fixed, we can edit the status of and change the status of IDoc to completed, and that IDoc will go from the list. And also we will have a track of the IDoc, that who worked on it and what is the current status of that IDoc as well. So it is going to be helpful for the big team where we have different users working on different IDocs which is assigned to them, and you can keep track of those IDocs as well here. From here, I can change the responsible person. So if I'm going on vacation, I can select the IDocs. I can change the responsible person to the another team member, and that IDoc will move to the another team member's work list area, and then that user can work on those IDocs. I also can display the IDoc, whatever the feature was available in the IDoc overview. I can use the same here as well. Displaying IDoc using the formula, displaying IDoc using BD87, or doing the overview of the IDoc. So those features which is available on the IDoc overview, they are available here in the work list as well. Now, next is I want to show you the confirmation. As I mentioned, that this is a ticketing area where the automated ticket will be created and assigned to the user again. It looks similar to the work list, but it's just in ticketing for an automate audit purpose, where the ticket will get created and assigned to a specific user, and then here you will track the ticket, that who is working on it and what is the current status. Now, we have different customization option. I'm on the cockpit area, selecting the different menus, the same menus which I see that in the overview, where I can create rule, display, do the IDoc display, search, check the status. They are available on the overview as well as in the drop down menu. The customization option, we have altogether different 24 customization option, where I can customize the shortcut which is there in the EDIMON cockpit area. I can customize the mail, where I can customize the subject, header, and the footer information about the email notification which we are getting. Also, the form editor, which is where we can define the form, which is a view. When we display the IDoc, where we can define our own view. So with that, we can completely customize that view here in this form editor. For example, if I can display you the form which I developed for example, this one, here I can copy the form and make certain changes. So I can duplicate the form itself, I can edit and change the form which I created, I can delete, or I can create the new form itself. So if I, for example, I selected this form and I click on change form, I can see that there are 3 different sections: form header, body, and footer, and each section will have the segment and field or the control record which we are getting from the EDIDC table. And this is how we can edit the form as well. Yeah, that's it from the EDIMON tool side. Now, Bernd, over to you for question and answer segment.
Great. Thanks, Puneet. Great presentation. And let me go back to a quick summary. And then we have a couple of more minutes for question and answers. So if you saw anything you would like to have more information, or Puneet maybe pull up the interface again and ask specific question, just use the Q&A feature in the go to webinar, and then you would see the question on our screen, read it out loud, and then provide hopefully a good answer. So on a quick summary, what I mentioned in the introduction, it's this one central interface for IDoc monitoring that is missing in SAP. We want to provide that The idea of one of the low-hanging fruits and one of the immediate values is the automated notification on issues, that you don't have to go into the SAP system, find the issues. EDIMON would bring the issues to your attention, and then you can make a determination what to do with it, you or even better directly whoever created the IDoc in the first place. We can automatically create rules that automatically fix issues that are reoccurring and unknown. And we believe that we dramatically accelerate work managing IDocs, because the resources we have in our organization is precious. Usually people fixing IDocs is not an easy task, and you need the people with the high skills in order to fix the IDocs, and they can do something better with their time than doing repetitive tasks. It increases standardization, automation, and also compliance, because now you have a central place of organizing IDocs, fixing issues, because it can be a compliance issues. A lot of the information that is passed from and to and with IDocs is highly sensitive, and there should be some kind of a compliance and regulatory compliance effort on your side to help with monitoring. And then installation, we can be up and running with in as little as 3 days. This is nothing that has to take a month or 2 months or 3 months of custom development. The software is ready. It's a transport, goes in the system within an hour. And then we set it up, do a configuration, do know-how transfer, and then we are all done. So let me open the stage for questions. So again, if you have any questions, type it in the field. I have a few questions that came in during the webcast. One is an easy one for me is, can we get a copy of the presentation? Yes, I'm going to send out a copy of the presentation to the attendees, also to those who registered but couldn't attend. And we're also going to do a recording of this webinar and send it out probably day after tomorrow to the audience. And I'm going to make sure, I saw some of the screens were a bit small when Puneet showed that. I can zoom in when I do the recording, so you can go back into the transactions you're interested in, look into more details. How is your software licensed? Again, question I can answer. It's a license per SAP system. It's a perpetual license, so it's an old-fashioned license model. You buy a one-time license fee, then you own the software, and then you pay an annual maintenance fee. Next is a question probably for Puneet. Can I set up multiple reactions per IDoc?
Yes, Bernd. So yeah, when I was showing the rule, there is an option that where we can define a multiple reaction in one rule itself, and it is going to create multiple rules with one form. So yeah, the answer is yes, we can do that.
Okay. Next question, where does the software go? On Solution Manager? Put it also for you. I could answer it, but you have more authority with your know-how.
Yes, so the software we can install anywhere in the landscape. It can go into the Solution Manager as well. As I was mentioned before, that it can work as a central location to monitor the complete landscape. So you can install it in Solution Manager as well as all the systems where we want to monitor the IDoc, and then from the Solution Manager we connect through RFC and collect the data and present it at one screen. So
Okay.
yes, it's possible.
Two more questions. Do we support HANA? Do you support HANA?
Yes. So this software, since it's installed inside SAP, it doesn't matter what database is in the background. So if it's a HANA, MS SQL, Oracle, DB2, we support all the databases.
Okay. Last question. Are there any specific user authorization or roles required to run the software?
We don't need a specific authorization. We work with the SAP standard authorization, which users will have for using IDoc transaction, which is BD87, WE19, WE7. With that, we also have a feasibility inside this tool that we can restrict for a specific user, the restrict the view based on the message type, or restrict the view based on the authorization where user can just display and see the IDoc cannot make the changes, a certain user can make the changes using SAP standard authorization. So we don't need any specific role, but also we have visibility to restrict the view inside the EDIMON tool as well.
Great. So yeah, that's it. Thanks everybody again for joining. Thanks Puneet for preparing the demo and guiding us through. If you have any questions, you can either reply to the invite or reach out directly to Puneet and myself. And we're going to be at Sapphire, most of us next week. So if you are at Sapphire, feel free to stop by the LaBella booth. And again, I'm looking forward to hear from anybody from the audience going forward. Thanks and have a good afternoon. Bye bye.